Welcome back to our weekly newsletter on the economy, where we bring you the latest updates on business and economic trends. Today, I will take you on a journey through this week's newsletter. To receive our weekly newsletter and stay informed on the latest economic developments, simply follow our website in the description below. Let's dive right in. Starting off in 2021, the European Union showcased an impressive creative industry with over 500,000 active enterprises engaged in creative arts and entertainment activities. Additionally, there were around 12,000 enterprises focused on library, archive, and museum activities. These figures beautifully complement the already thriving 1.2 million enterprises in other culture-related economic sectors based on 2020 data. Employment in the creative sectors reached 582,000 individuals, with 91% of them working in micro or small enterprises, 6% in medium-sized ones, and 3% in large companies. The Netherlands took the lead with creative enterprises, followed closely by France, Sweden, Spain, and Portugal. On the other hand, Luxembourg, Cyprus, Bulgaria, Croatia, and Malta reported the lowest numbers. Next up, Russia's central bank has made its first interest rate hike in 16 months. This move comes as a response to mounting concerns over inflation triggered by Moscow's spending on the invasion of Ukraine and the sharp depreciation of the ruble. Moving on to New Zealand, inflation rates have surged by 6% in the 12 months to June 2023. Although prices are still increasing at rates not seen since 1990s, they are, however, rising at a lower rate than the last few quarters. The International Monetary Fund sheds light on the US dollar's strengthening, which reached a 20-year high and had major implications for the global economy. Negative spillovers from the dollar's appreciation disproportionately affected emerging market economies compared to smaller advanced economies. In emerging markets, a 10% US dollar appreciation led to a decrease in economic output by 1.9% after 1 year, with effects lasting for 2.5 years. On the other hand, advanced economies experience smaller negative effects. However, the IMF also emphasizes that flexible exchange rates and anchored inflation expectations can alleviate the effects of a strong dollar. We turn our attention to Moldova, where industrial production has witnessed a decline. In May, there was a significant 7.4% drop, and the cumulative year-to-date decrease reached 6.4%. The U.S. Federal Reserve has introduced a groundbreaking new system for instant payments called FedNow. This service aims to modernize the country's payment system, providing instant funds transfer 24/7. FedNow eliminates delays commonly experienced in cash transfers, competing with private real-time payment systems. Despite initial opposition from big banks, many have joined to expand client services. Payments via FedNow settle directly in central bank accounts, benefiting consumers and small businesses. Smaller banks have also embraced its developments, offering real-time access without relying on larger competitors. Notably, FedNow is not charging consumers, and banks have the option to decide on cost sharing. Next, we turn our attention to Kazakhstan. Is Kazakhstan the wealthiest country in Central Asia in 2023? It emerges as the wealthiest country in Central Asia in 2023, boasting the highest GDP per capita in the region. Despite challenges from decreased oil production and supply chain issues, Kazakhstan has recorded a commendable 3.2% GDP growth, supported by non-oil exports and investment. However, high inflation is affecting consumer demand, and the country faces potential risks from the disruptions to the Caspian Pipeline Consortium and the volatile global financial conditions. And nevertheless, the economy is projected to see moderate growth in the coming years, driven by investments in the hydrocarbon sector and affordable housing initiatives. Moving on to the euro area and the EU, we observe a decline in annual inflation rates. In June 2023, annual inflation decreased to 5.5% in the euro area and 6.4% in the EU, showing some positive trends in price stability. In April, Egypt's manufacturing and extractive industries index experienced an 8.44% decline, indicating challenges in the sector. This development warrants close attention as it may have implications for the country's overall economic performance. IMF's The Rise of the Walking Dead, Zombie Firms Around the World paper sheds light on the prevalence of zombie firms globally, with Italy having the most in Europe. Interestingly, Turkey leads in the rate of zombie companies. These financially insolvent firms survive due to cheap debt, hindering overall economic growth. The paper calls for urgent policy measures such as raising interest rates, tightening lending standards, and offering financial assistance to tackle this pressing issue. However, identifying and measuring zombie firms pose challenges, including data reliability and distinguishing them from temporarily straggling firms. More research is needed to address this critical economic concern. Singapore's economic growth has shown signs of slowing down in the first half of the year. The second quarter GDP in 2023 saw a weak growth of 0.7% year-on-year, slightly better than first quarter, but significantly lower than 2022's 3.6% growth. This slowdown is attributed to a decline in manufacturing output. The outlook for 2023 projects GDP growth at 1.4%, while inflation pressures have eased. Next, we'll look at the European government debt to GDP ratio in quarter first 2023. The euro area and the EU's general government debt to GDP ratio slightly decreased due to a relative increase in GDP compared to the government debt. However, Greece, Italy, Portugal, and Spain continue to face relatively high debt levels. Moving on, China's digital yuan, known as the e-CNY, is gaining popularity rapidly. By June end, digital yuan transactions surged to a staggering 1.8 trillion yuan, showing significant growth from 100 billion yuan just last August. China has been leading in central bank digital currency development, with the digital yuan mainly used for domestic retail payments. Despite its small balance, the high transaction velocity ensures efficiency, positioning China as a prominent player in the CBDC space. During the first 6 months of the year, the number of newly established companies in Turkey experienced a slight decline of 3.6% compared to the same period of the previous year. Let's explore the remote work trends in Germany. According to Randstad Info survey, 61% of German companies are now offering their employees the option to work from home. On average, employees are allowed 6.4 days of remote work per month, and slightly lower than the 6.7 days reported a year ago. trade companies and small businesses are less likely to offer remote work, with proportions at 34% and 32% respectively. However, large businesses and industrial companies have increased their provision of remote work, with over 90% offering this option and granting more days per month compared to the previous year. Our next highlight is the July 2020 Euro Area Bank Lending Survey, revealing interesting trends. Credit standards for loans to enterprises tightened in the second quarter, though less severely than the previous quarter. Loan terms and conditions also tightened for firms and households due to rising interest rates. Surprisingly, loan demand from firms dropped to an all-time low, influenced by interest rate hikes and reduced financing needs. Additionally, access to funding deteriorated, particularly in retail funding. Notably, climate change impacts bank lending, with green firms experiencing eased credit standards and increased loan demand. Moving on, the Turkish Central Bank has taken action to address inflation concerns, raising its policy interest rate by 250 basis points. The rate has increased from 15% to 17.5%, signaling efforts to control inflation and stabilize the economy. In July, the Turkish Confidence Index shows some variations in key sectors. The services industry experienced a slight decline of 0.6%, while the retail trade sector faced a 2.6% drop. Similarly, the construction sector saw a 0.9% decrease in confidence. Shifting our focus to the UK, the latest Confederation of British Industry survey reveals intriguing insights into the manufacturing sector. British manufacturing orders declined at the slowest rate this year, reaching -9 in July compared to the -15 in June. Optimism among manufacturers rose to the highest level in 2 years. However, the sector remains subdued, facing cost pressures that impact investment plans. Let's discover the business climate in the French manufacturing industry. In July, the balance of opinion on the change in production over the last 3 months improved and exceeded its average, indicating stability in the sector. In the Eurozone, corporate loans continue to lose momentum. Non-financial corporations' debt-to-GDP ratio declined to 70.2% in the first quarter, compared to 75.3% in the first quarter of 2022. Shifting our focus to Turkey again, economic confidence declined to 90.3 in July. The consumer confidence index fell by 5.9%, while the real sector and the services confidence indices decreased, and additionally the retail trade and the construction confidence also experienced declines. In Austria, inflation eased to 8% in June, thanks to lower fuel prices and housing costs, providing some relief to consumers. CEO World Magazine's analysis reveals the top 10 most entrepreneurial countries in Africa for 2023. South Africa, Rwanda, and Morocco lead the pack, showcasing their thriving startup ecosystems. Kenya's ascent to fourth place reflects its growing startup community, while Nigeria secures fifth position. These nations foster innovation, competitiveness, and business-friendly environments, contributing to Africa's flourishing startup landscape. The IMF's latest report projects a gradual global economic recovery with a 3% growth forecast. Despite near-term resilience, challenges persist, including slowing global activity and elevated core inflation. Policymakers must tread cautiously to maintain financial stability and address geoeconomic fragmentation and climate transition challenges. And now, lastly, in Bulgaria, the consumer price index declined minus 0.4%, while the harmonized index of consumer prices rose by 0.1%. Yearly inflation reached 8.7% and reflecting the country's economic dynamics. That wraps up our economy newsletter for today. We covered a wide range of topics. Stay informed and tuned in for more economic news in our upcoming episodes. Thank you for watching and remember to subscribe to our channel for the latest updates.